And I am live talking about MCU movies once again. This show will be a bit special because no panel as of right now. Maybe some people will join in later on, maybe not, maybe I will be alone. With that being said, we already reviewed all of these three movies on the channel. That's why I will try to make a bit different things here. That's why the show today is a bit different than usual. We will be talking about these three movies, but we will also rank the top 10 and the worst 10 MCU movie, mostly because we are about to jump into DCEU stuff over the RedBlue Podcast eventually next season. So it's some kind of a closing chapter to the MCU right now. Let's get into it.
Yo, it's the RedBlue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. It was Marvel versus DC till we lost that thrill. Don't stress the episode, don't ask the season. We double up franchises, don't ask for a reason. He's got rules that nobody gets. His takes on movies, they're wild as it gets. He's got Super Bowl Mac and Gray by his side, trying to keep it sane while they're in for the ride. These measures are out of control, but in the end he's got the final role. Yeah, that Blue Podcast, come check the scene. Movies old and new, know what I mean?
Let's get into it. So the Marvels came out 2 years ago exactly as I am recording this year. And what do I remember from that movie? I remember enjoying that movie. It wasn't a great movie though. I think it enters very well the category of a guilty pleasure because I had fun. I liked it a lot, but it's not a good movie. It was a mess. It had so many issues. And let's be honest, the best part of it was Miss Marvel. Captain Marvel was okay. She was far better than in her own movie. And Monica Rambeau, not that much. And there was a lot of stupid going on with the Marvels. But I will admit this, the gimmick of swapping places in the middle of the fights was kind of fun. And now I just go by memory, but I think I remember disliking the villain, thinking it was a weak villain. So this is the Marvels for you. I think it was far better than many people expected it to be, but unfortunately not enough people were into it. And unfortunately it was poorly received. And when you really look at the budget, it bombed. It didn't do well. And it's the case of a lot of MCU movies as of right now, because I feel like it's in a decline. People are kind of tired. And it's more than just some bigots somewhere saying, oh, we have Marvel fatigue because, whoa. I think it goes further than that. I think the golden era is kind of over, and now they bank on so many not that known characters. And I will also be honest, people have seen so many Superman movies. That's why I think that one poorly performed. I also think the Snyder cult, they did damage the brand enough, because let's be honest, they were the only one really hating on it. Now, of course, some people can see Superman and still dislike it despite not enjoying Man of Steel. I get that. But I think most of the people that were really riled up against James Gunn was because the Snyder verse didn't work. So let's look into the Marvels, because again, it's a special show today. So it was directed by Nia DaCosta, and I remember the discussion I had about the Marvels. I think it was budgeted by the studio, and we had a very different cut from her, but we ended up with a theatrical cut that is what it is. It was also written by Nia DaCosta, Megan McDonnell, Elissa Karasik. It was based on Marvel comic, of course. It's kind of obvious. It was produced by Kevin Feige. Starring Ray Larson, Teyona Harris, Ayman Vellani, Zoe Enston, Gary Lewis, Park Seo-joon, Zenobia Schroff, Moan Kippur, Saga Skeet, Samuel L. Jackson. Oh yeah, he had a cameo because why not? He's kind of cool, right? Nick Fury for the win. Cinematography by Sin Bobbitt. Edited by Katrin Edstrom. Evan Schiff. Music by Laura Cartman. Production company Marvel Studios. Distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture. It was released November 7, 2023. So again, it's really 2 years ago, and the show we are doing right now was very different 2 years ago. So it's kind of interesting to reflect on the history. The budget was 374 million gross, 307 million net, and the box office was 206.1 million. So this was one of the many box office failure the MCU got. That was the start of the decline. Let's be honest with that. They realized it. That's why in 2024 we only had one MCU movie. I think the strike also had a role to play in, and they also wanted so many TV shows. So there's other factors, but I think the failure of the Marvels was really an incentive to tell people, slow down. Not everyone wants MCU shenanigan happening. So this was the Marvels. And again, I think it's a fair thing to say it's a guilty pleasure. That's how I see the Marvels. That was a fun experience. But I remember my fellow panelists at the time all disliking it, and I was the only one that liked it, despite thinking it's not a masterpiece, not by any means. And in the bigger picture, if we really look into it, there's around 48 MCU movies that are out as of right now, if we count the Deadpools, and there's more if we count the X-Men, but there's around 48 movies, and I'd say the Marvels is right in the middle. Like, when I say right in the middle, I don't think it made the worst 10 or the top 10. So it's really like right in the middle. Now, the next thing is Fantastic Four. Why did I mention that in second place in the title? Well, I think it was a perfect transition between the Marvels and Deadpool and Wolverine. And why do I think that and say that? Deadpool and Wolverine is the peak of these three movies, and as a comic book fan, because now I can call myself that, I've read a lot of comics as of right now, probably a lot more than a lot of the grifters out there, but I'd say Deadpool and Wolverine should be viewed as a great comic book movie. And I remember liking that movie a lot more than the other two. That's also why it's the next topic, but yeah, Fantastic Four is the hybrid. I think it had issues of the more modern Marvel things, like some of the dialogue. Not a fan. I don't remember the other issues I had, but I know the movie wasn't perfect. It had a few issues. It had at least 3 issues that I can remember on top of my head. And I'd say that movie is still kind of high in terms of like movies that came out this year. And even in the MCU, I think that one is kind of high. It's probably in the top 20 of the MCU if we really look into all 48 movies I got listed on my take on what is the MCU. But if we really reduce that list to really like the 30-ish movies we got, I think that one is more like top 15 material then. And it's not saying negative thing, because when you're top 15, among 30. That means you beat 15, which is great. This is what we want, right? So Fantastic Four, I remember watching it in theater. I liked it. That was a fun experience. I was hyped for the rest. I want Secret Wars. I want Doomsday. I want everything. That will be fun. Fantastic Four didn't do that well. This is a bit unfortunate. So now let's get into fact and numbers, and it's a bit unfortunate because again, I think Fantastic Four was a nice movie. And I have a very odd take. I think the original Fantastic Four in 2005 was better. And maybe I'm crazy to say that, but that's how I felt. So now we got the proper page. And I will also tell this about Fantastic Four First Steps. They did a massive mistake for the release date. This year, we had Brave New World, February. We had Thunderbolts, May. And we had Fantastic Four, July. Why didn't you spread it out more? That's one question I gotta ask. A second question is, why choosing freaking July? We had Jurassic Park. We had Superman. And in August, we had mid-range movies. Like Nobody 2. I remember that one. Naked Gun, I believe that was the title. I didn't see it. I've seen the commercial. I wasn't interested by any means. And if we look back to June, we had Megan 2.0. We had 28 years later. So this year was crowded. Really bad idea. I think they would have gained more support and more money if they released Fantastic Four First Steps in September. Or even November, to be honest. First week of November. You do it before everyone else, because I know there's Wicked and another movie mid-November. I can't remember that one, but I don't know. I just feel like July like that, it just didn't work. And I was seeing a lot of people were like, oh, DC did a Marvel-like movie and Marvel did a DC-like movie. I cannot see their point. But it's fine. It's all comic book stuff. So let's look into the distribution and like the wiki page of Fantastic Four First Steps. Let's get into it. Directed by Matt Shackman. Screenplay by Josh Friedman, Eric Pearson, Jeff Kaplan, Jan Springler. So many people in the screenplay. Wow. Story by Eric Pearson, Jeff Kaplan, Jan Springer, Cat Wood. Based on Fantastic Four, Stanley Jack Kirby. And I did happen to read that run, and that was kind of fun. The starring, okay, Pedro Pascal. I'm so tired. I don't want to see that guy anymore. I think I've seen like 30 Pedro Pascal movies just this year. It's crazy. He is in everything and everywhere. I'm so tired of him. Vanessa Kirby, she's kind of cool, but I prefer Jessica Alba. I think Vanessa Kirby is a better actress overall, but Jessica Alba is just my Invisible Woman. It's not Vanessa Kirby. Sorry, Vanessa Kirby fan. Ebon Mus Bachrach. That sounds like the thing. But again, I feel like the 2005 casting was just better. I'm sorry, folks. Joseph Quinn was actually the best in the four we had in Fantastic Four. I think he nailed it. So much more, so much better than whatever we had with Chris Evans. Julia Garner as the surfer. She was enjoyable. A lot of heat on her. But yeah, we also had Sarah Niles. I don't know that person or the actress, whatever. Mark Gatiss. I don't know the guy either. Natasha Lyonne. I don't know her. Paul Walter Ozer, I don't know him. Ralph Ineson, I don't know him. Cinematography, just all edited by Nona Kodai, Team Rochi. Music by Michael Giacchino. Production company, Marvel Studios. Distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Picture. Release date, July 21st, Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. 25th of July in the USA and Canada. Running time, 1 hour and 54 minutes. Budget, 200 plus million, so we can assume probably 300 million with advertisements and all of that campaign around the movie. The box office, 521.9 million. That movie barely made its money back. Barely. It did. So if you call it a bomb, you're wrong. The Marvels was a bomb. But this one, it wasn't a massive success, but it did pay itself back. Now, what did I think? Again, I think Fantastic Four First Steps was fun. It was a good movie. Highly recommend. It was far better than the Marvels and a lot of other MCU movies. And this gets us to what I consider the peak of the MCU with Deadpool and Wolverine. We had cameos, we had nostalgia, we had action, we had funny stuff, we had funny heroes. Deadpool is something that's enjoyable. Even a year and a half, I quite remember the plot of that movie. I quite remember the villain, the bald, sister of Xavier character. She had charisma, and I was so excited to see all of the cameos with Elektra, Blade, and Gambit. Wow. We also had a cameo of Johnny Storm that was played by Chris Evans. That was a funny cameo. And the bond Wolverine and Deadpool actually make over being losers that want to do the good thing. I liked it. It was just a fun time. Back then, we had a good time. That was a fun movie. Deadpool and Wolverine is what Marvel should strive to be. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but it's not perfect, it has issues. Whatever you say, to each their own. I say this is top tier. Amazing movie. And I don't remember having any issues with it. I'm excited for eventually a rewatch. And that will be a fun experience for sure. So, yeah, I think Deadpool and Wolverine was something else. We also had X-23, which is like the new Wolverine, I guess, if we can call her that way. So let's take a look to that massive success that a lot of people praised and that a lot of people went to see. Deadpool and Wolverine. Directed by Sean Levy. Written by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reeves, Paul Wernick, Zeb Wells, Sean Levy, based on Marvel Comics. Produced by Kevin Feige, Lauren Schuler Donner, Ryan Reynolds, and Sean Levy. Starring Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Emma Corrin. Emma Corrin is clearly the waifu with the telepath, like the Professor X sister or whatever. Morna Baccarin as Ryan Reynolds' girlfriend. She's always hot as a girlfriend. That woman aged like fine wine. Rob Delaney. I can't remember that actor or actress. Leslie Ogam. I don't remember her either. Aaron Stainford. I don't remember him. And Matthew McDaffin. I don't remember him. Cinematography, George Richmond. Edited by Dean Zimmerman, Shane Raid. Music by Rob Simonson. production companies, Marvel Studios Maximum Effort 21 Labs Entertainment, distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture. Release date, July 26. Running time, 2 hours 8 minutes. The budget was $200 million, which is similar to what we had with Fantastic Four. And the box office was $1.338 billion. This was a massive success. So just because of that massive success, 5 times. It did 5 times its budget. Marvels are fine. What I do think they should think and consider is after Secret War, full-on reboot. Every story, every character, break that universe. You got most of your IPs, only Hulk is left to Paramount, but you can use Spider-Man because you have these deals with Sony. You can use the X-Men that you didn't have prior, so I just think they should embrace it. They should make a reboot. It's about time. That universe is almost 20 years old, and we want something fresh, something new. Take your time. Go back to 1 or 2 movies a year, but space them out so we don't get tired or burned. That's why I'm saying reboot is needed. That was a massive success, and it's probably one of the last 2 success all the way up to the next Spider-Man and the 2 Avengers. And again, that goes back to what I said. Be smart. Now, this is the segment I promise to be a bit different. This segment where I share my worst 10 and my top 10 for the MCU. This is the MCU talk. So let's get into it. In last place, if you have known me, if you have seen the channel, if you have heard the review, because there was a review about that. Wakanda Forever. This is a train wreck. I don't know who greenlit it. It was terrible. It was painful. I remember having Cole on, and Cole was like, "Yeah, it's not great." Even him thought I was very harsh, which is rare. People usually mock my takes, but here it felt justified. For the first time doing this RedBlue podcast, and I remember this like 2 years ago easily. That was the first time I went into the negative, and I needed to find some praise to give back points so I don't sound overly negative. And now since then, I still had that process in some extreme cases, but I also adopted something else, like for Birds of Prey, it's not one of the worst thing I've seen, so I gave a 1. But Wakanda Forever is terrible. I remember giving that movie a 2 or a 2.5 out of 10. And again, it's after giving back points. That was a painful movie to get through. Now, in 9th place as the worst movie of the MCU, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, with a 3 out of 10. That was a chore to get through with that movie. I'm glad I've seen it just so I can roast it and say, yeah, I've seen that crap. It's bad. Don't watch it. That's all I feel. In 8th place, as the third worst movie, I guess, we got Thor: Love and Thunder with a 3 out of 10. And 4th place, as my least favorite ones, if you have seen that review, you know what I'm talking about. Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2. That one had a 3.5 out of 10. We rise up. We climb up that really, really bad, I don't know how I can call it, but that was during a time the MCU, we had hit and miss. Now, my 5th least favorite MCU movie is a movie everyone hated. I liked the aspect of it, but it wasn't good. Thor: The Dark World. And I remember giving that movie a 3.5. So yes, I said it. I said it. The Dark World is better than whatever Taika Waititi had in mind. The next one is Captain Marvel, my sixth worst or my sixth least favorite. I think I had given like a 4 or a 5, or 4 or a 4.5. Can't quite remember. It could have been great. It's just another chore. I was like, oh my, what were they thinking? Why did they greenlit it? Why did it make so much money? It's an insult to cinema, really. Now, in 7th place as my least favorite, we got The Incredible Hulk from 2008. Another unique one where I like the action a lot. But you see, the movie overall is painful. It was bad. Better than the other ones I've mentioned as of right now. But still, this is like a good example of what could be lying on the ground floor, rock bottom, somewhere underneath the surface. Terrible movie. Coming next, we got The Black Widow. So it's the 8th least favorite with a 4.5 out of 10. I like Scarlett Johansson. I think her replacement is kind of cool. And I will be honest, I think Yelena has a better character arc because we see from the get-go her changing into a hero. While Black Widow, most of her transformation and change happened in flashback in the past, and it wasn't really the center of attention the same way Yelena New Widow is. So that's why I think Yelena is a better version of Natasha. And it's unfortunate because I do like Scarlett Johansson in the role. I think she nailed it. I just think we missed the opportunity of having her origin story early in the MCU. We missed the opportunity of having her evolving and changing throughout the MCU. She was always a character very much in the background. So when you have like the movie around her and about her after she died, it's bad. It's really bad. It's the truth. That's how I feel. That movie was bleeding of issues. It was a chore. It was bad. And the timing was awful. We needed a Black Widow movie before an Avenger movie, but we didn't get because they didn't bank. They didn't believe in the IP. It's so unfortunate because Black Widow is indeed very cool, especially with Scarlett Johansson. So that's how I felt. In 9th place as the worst 10 MCU movies, Avengers Age of Ultron, 4.5 out of 10. Again, I think it had things going for it. Like, I'm a big superhero fan. I like seeing my people fight off robots, but then we got Quicksilver Depth, and Ultron was okay. It was no worse MCU movie villain, but it wasn't great either. It was just out there, you know. Age of Ultron wasn't the best product of the MCU. It's sad. I wish it was. Now, coming in 10th place in my worst 10 movie. It's not a worse than MCU whiteout an Iron Man movie in the mix. Iron Man 3. I liked a lot of the ideas behind that movie, but it was a terrible movie. Another 4.5 out of 10. And it's kind of funny because there's another 4.5, which is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but Iron Man 3 is just why did that thing happen? There were good ideas, but the overall product wasn't satisfying. Now, let's get into the top 10 of the MCU. In my books, this is what I believe. This is how the best movies scale to each other now. So I'm moving all the way up to my Letterboxd because I got all of that on my Letterboxd. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I admit I cheat. So in 10th place we got a Blade movie. The first Blade, made in 1998. Why did I decide to shoehorn it into the MCU? Well, Wesley Snipes is back in Deadpool and Wolverine. Therefore, I consider the Blade movies as being part of the MCU because pretty sure it's the same Blade. So, Blade, I remember enjoying it a lot and thanking Grey Poupée for choosing that movie because he was the one that brought it to my attention. I had seen it as a kid. I was way too young for seeing that movie, but now, we covered it, we talked about it, and I think it's a standout movie. It's a really good movie. Highly recommend. And if I remember correctly, I've given like a 9.8 or a 9.7. It was really close by. It was near perfection. I see 9.7, so that was most likely a 9.7. Now, in 9th place, we got Spider-Man No Way Home with a 9.7. Huge Spider-Man fan. I think Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man, and that may shock a lot of people because there's these Tobey Maguire fans, there's these Andrew Garfield fans. We got the proper trilogy. I get it, like Tobey Maguire is nostalgia for many, and his trilogy was quite good, despite the third installment not being as good as the other two. It was a standout thing. But, in my books, in my opinion, because this is a movie review podcast, I'd say Tom Holland had the best trilogy. Now, of course, I think the second one, being Far From Home, wasn't that great, but No Way Home and Homecoming were worth my time. They were very good movies. They are standout Spider-Man movies. They are some of the best Spider-Man material we had out there. I liked it. And I'm a big Andrew Garfield fan. I really enjoyed what Andrew Garfield brought to the role, and unfortunately, he only had 2 movies. I wish we had the third one. And the second one had great ideas, but it was a terrible movie. It was one of the worst in the bunch. But I'd say Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He is my Spider-Man. That's how I feel. So when I see him teaming up with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, wow, that was fun. And Aunt May's death was so sad. It was like, wow. It's like the Uncle Ben moment, but with Aunt May instead. And Peter sacrificing his friendship and all of the connection he made to protect his friends. That was taking responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. So again, I think No Way Home was something special. Now in 8th place, I know I will get a lot of heat because that one is a lot higher for many people. But that's my take. That's my opinion. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I remember giving that one a 9.8. I stand by it. I had one issue with it. That was a great movie. That was a banger that connected to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and we had Bucky, we had cool action, we had cool characters, and it was so important to the MCU, and we just had a big, crazy plane crashing into a city. That was great. The action was cool. It's the kind of spy thriller you're like, wow. And we get to see like Black Widow being like, oh, the institution I thought was good is corrupt. It's disgusting. It's crazy. So many good things about the Winter Soldier. That was a fun experience. That was a turning point to Steve Rogers, Captain America. So, yeah, I think it deserves to be in 8th place. Now, coming next, Captain America Civil War. That one was also a 9.8, slightly above Winter Soldier, simply because, you know what? It's cool to see heroes fighting each other for valid and good reason. And I will drive parallels to the Arrowverse because we covered the Arrowverse back then in the RedBlue Podcast. And they did something very similar, but it didn't hit the same. It wasn't as good as that time around. The Civil War had two sides where you can believe both sides. I think back then I was a lot more driven to be like Tony Stark and being like, we need to be the weapons of the government because they know what to do. But I live in Canada and I've realized the government is just in to keep control of our population and to benefits from that power. They are not there for the people. So when I realized that, I became more of a Steve Rogers guy. Don't trust the government, especially with super weapon like metahuman. So Civil War for me is a solid contender for 7th place. 7th place. I said it many times. The government must get out of the way. That's my philosophy. That's how I believe. That's how I feel. That's how it should be. Government should help, not dictate. Now, coming next, Deadpool 2. I liked it so much. I think I had given a 10 out of 10 to that Deadpool movie. The humor, the action, David Leitch, Leitch was behind that movie. I know that because I've covered that guy filmography. I enjoyed that creator. He touched everything. He was an actor. He was a director. He was a producer. He did everything. I respect so much David Leitch. Respect to that guy. Anything he does and touches turn into gold. And this is why I do think Deadpool 2 is higher than two amazing Captain America. Coming next, we got Blade 2, the perfect sequel to the first one. If I remember correctly, I was also kind of crazy. I was alone in my boat defending that movie so much. I liked it so much. And that Blade 2 is in 5th place in my top 10. It's a great MCU flick. I enjoy my time each time. Even as a child, when I was way too young to see that thing. I liked it. Blade is my guy. He is amazing. Now, coming in 4th place, we got Deadpool and Wolverine. The peak of what the MCU could be and should be. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I cannot place it any higher because I feel like the top 3 is just superior. They're just more enjoyable movie and they represent, well, the MCU as well. So, without wasting any more time, the 3rd place was Doctor Strange. Hot take, right? Although I know a lot of people hated that movie, but that movie was unique for me because we got to see a smart hero and someone that's very powerful, but not powerful enough to take on a bigger threat. And he talked on that threat in a very clever way with a clever bluff. Doctor Strange is just such a great character. I enjoy him so much. He is a great replacement for Tony Stark. So he deserved to be so high. Doctor Strange, Dormammu, I came to talk. I've came to bargain. That was a quote. And he came to bargain. He came to bargain. In second place, the one movie that started everything, Iron Man. Yes, I think it is the second best MCU movie we had. Tony Stark was one of the pillars of that universe. He is still, as of right now in 2025, one of the best characters that universe created. I enjoy Steve Rogers. Captain America was really cool. Whatever the iteration you pick, I think they're all very fun. But no one matches my boy, Tony Stark. And his sacrifice in Endgame was so great. Speaking of Endgame, it's an honorable mention. I think Endgame is overrated, but I understand why. I like Endgame. I just think it's more like top 20 than top 10. And we talk about the universe with like almost 50 movies as of right now. My current list I made was 48. And I didn't include any of the X-Men stuff, otherwise that'd be like 60 to 70. So, I think Iron Man deserves his second place. It's a great movie. It set up the universe we all like and talked about. So Endgame was great, but let's get back to my top 10. The first place. This is a top contender for many. Infinity War. Avenger Infinity War is the peak. It's the best the MCU has to offer. No issues whatsoever. It's Thanos journeying into steamrolling the Avengers because they are divided. He just go through everyone. Slap, slap, slap. Oh, slap. Loki, slap. Everyone fell against Thanos. He was such a threat, a great villain. Before even gaining all of these stones, he beat the crap out of people. Wanda destroying Vision, but then Thanos using one of the stones to bring back Vision. It was wow! And we got like the whole crowd fighting off aliens, like the Wakanda people and like Black Widow fighting off aliens and creatures. That was fun. So again, Infinity War is the best thing the MCU did as of right now. I will be all gloom and bleak and sad, but I don't think Doomsday and Secret Wars will top that. I just don't think so. I want to believe in the IP. I want to like and enjoy. I think I will like these two movies that are coming next. And that's the teaser because they will mark the end of the RedBlue Podcast. Teaser. The RedBlue Podcast is near its ending because we have people leaving for many different reasons. And I'm still here. I want to go through with the show that I'm proud I made. We had great years. This is the RedBlue Podcast where we talk about movies. But be ready because season 8, we talk about Fox, talk about DC. There's a lot of things down the pipeline. I think Infinity War was amazing. And Doomsday, I'm looking forward. I don't think it will beat it, but hey, who am I, right? Not one of the creative behind the scene. And Secret Wars, I expected to finish that universe. I wanted to finish the universe because we need a reboot. Now, what do we have going on? Well, a lot of things. This Saturday, we talk about Canadian politics once again. So this Saturday, very late night, our usual time. Monday, the new Emma Stone movie. I cannot pronounce the title of it, but that's a new movie that comes out in theater. I see the time. I don't have the time today for this, but tomorrow we talk about Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. After that we talked about If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, a very sad drama that also has great comedy in it. Next Tuesday we talk about some classic, I can't remember what, but there are classics chosen by Superbowl or Matt. I can't remember who chose these two movies, but movies from the before I was born, I believe. So that's telling. And this is what's going on the channel. So yeah, we will also cover Smallville later season over the Film and Shows Adaptation podcast, but we shall start that probably mid to late November. That's the idea. So, with that being said, we are out.
Yeah, RedBlue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean? The RedBlue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean?